On April 6, 1994, in a quiet corner of northeastern Mexico, the world's most respected cave diver slid beneath the warm blue skin of the Zacatón sinkhole, a vertical shaft believed to plunge more than 1,000 feet straight down. You watch the surface ripple shut above him like a closing eye, unaware that a single, almost invisible miscalculation is already in motion. The plan: reach the bottom of an underwater abyss no human had ever touched. The promise: total control in a place where control rarely survives. But deep beneath the floating mats of grass and sunlit cliffs, the water thickens, the darkness blooms, and something begins to go wrong. What no one realizes yet is that the deepest danger isn't the cave. It's time, pressure, and a man's last, unwavering commitment to order. You meet him not as a daredevil, but as a math teacher, Sheck Exley, soft-spoken, methodical, and relentlessly curious. He doesn't chase chaos, he studies it. His friends say he never lectures about risk. He dissects it like a surgeon with a scalpel. Every dive is a chess match where breath, pressure, and human limits are the pieces, and you can feel why people trusted him. He didn't improvise. He rehearsed survival. He wasn't alone that day. Jim Bowden, another veteran of unforgiving depths, shared the same target. 2 divers, 2 separate descent lines so they'd never tangle. Months of planning meant stage tanks hanging like ghostly fruit at precise depths. Custom gas blends calculated to the decimal. Backup plans for each backup plan. And then there's Zacatón itself, serene at the surface, ringed by pale limestone walls, the water oddly warm and still. You float there in your mind, listening to nothing but your own breath. It looks harmless, but that mirror hides more than 1,000 vertical feet of open water. No tunnels, no shelves, just a liquid elevator shaft into darkness. It feels almost welcoming. And that, you sense, is part of the trap. Everyone believes they've accounted for every variable, but variables don't always ask permission. And this small truth will become the crack that everything slides through. The worst, you'll soon realize, is still ahead. You imagine the moment the 2 men surface inside the cenote after swimming the tunnel, their lights barely staining the blue. Final checks, breathing steady, minds narrowed to the plan. Then, drop. You feel the pressure increase, like hands tightening around your ribs. At first, it's beautiful. The walls fade, and the water becomes a cathedral of infinite blue. Your world shrinks to a guideline, a pressure gauge, and the muted hiss of breath. Light drains quickly. At 100 feet, the surface is gone. The only direction that feels real is down. Bowden descends at a controlled 100 feet per minute, switching gas at mathematically chosen depths. He knows the numbers better than he knows his own heartbeat. Around 800 feet, a faint glow pulses off to his side. Exley's light, blurred by darkness and silt. For a heartbeat, 2 tiny stars hover together. Then the haze swallows one. There's no time for poetry at this depth. You don't chase, you stick to the script. But what they don't realize yet is that the script has already started to burn. Pressure climbs, breaths lengthen, and down below, unseen by anyone, decisions begin to fragment under the weight of 1,000 feet of water. That's when everything quietly starts to shift. It isn't a dramatic snap. It's subtle, the kind of deviance you only see when it's too late. Bowden notices his gas dropping faster than predicted. A few extra breaths per minute at this depth multiply into catastrophe. He aborts, turning his focus toward the cruel calculus of a 9-hour ascent. Up above, safety divers wait, unaware that the real nightmare isn't his decision. It's the silence on Exley's line. Sheck continues downward. His computer later shows a final number, and then stops. No ascent profile, no frantic blip of motion, just a flat line of data. And in the water, only stillness. It's the tiny shift, a mixture, a buildup of carbon dioxide, the unpredictable bite of high-pressure nervous syndrome that opens the door. And once it opens, there is no going back. You're with him now, in the dark where depth crushes thought into slow motion. Time becomes strange. Your hands are steady, but your brain floats half a beat behind them. HPNS can do that. Tremors, double vision, a ghostly ringing in the skull. Carbon dioxide creeps in too. a silent thief that turns breath into fire. You may not even notice the change. That's the cruelest part. Shek has faced worse than most divers will ever imagine. He knows the rules. Stay calm. Fix the problem. But problems down here stack faster than you can think. Maybe a gas switch error. Maybe oxygen toxicity flirting at the edge of seizure. Maybe just the human body saying, no more. A single lapse and the safety buffer disappears. You feel the pressure in his chest. Hear the lonely hiss of his regulator. The guideline is under his hand, his only thread back to the world above. He isn't tangled, he isn't lost. He is exactly where he means to be. But the gauges tell a story that no discipline can rewrite. Primary tanks draining toward zero, buoyancy fading. The water no longer supports you, it invites you down. This is the moment most people imagine panic, thrashing, clawing. But that isn't what happens, not with him. Witnesses later describe his recovered position as composed, as if he'd wrapped himself gently to the line rather than flailing against it. You feel the impossible composure in this choice. If there would be no ascent, then at least there would be order. The body under pressure does strange things. Narcosis fogs thought. Muscles shiver. The brain whispers confusion. But habit, that deep engraved reflex built over thousands of dives, still rules. Control the breathing, simplify the problem, accept the next step. This small decision will haunt everyone who studies this dive. When he realized the fight was gone, did he decide not to waste his last seconds in chaos? Meanwhile, far above, Jim Bowden clings to his own battle. A slow, aching climb, punctuated by long decompression stops, each one a test of patience and faith. He doesn't yet know that the other line beneath the grass mats leads not to a diver in trouble, but to silence. Support divers descend as far as they can. They find small clues, laminated profile pages drifting upward like fallen leaves. Those pages should never be loose. That's when the creeping dread sets in. You feel it too. That heavy certainty that something final has already happened, far below reach, in a realm where even rescue becomes theoretical. Down in the black, the pressure holds every secret tight. There is no struggle, no last-second surge. Only the sense of a man refusing to break his own rules, even at the end. And you realize the darkest truth. Sometimes the strongest survival instinct is control. But the cave doesn't bargain. The worst, for everyone above, is the waiting. He doesn't come back. When the team finally recovers Shek's body days later, the details confirm the quiet story the cave has been telling. No ripped guideline, no frantic marks, one tank still holding gas. His posture calm, as if he chose his final position rather than being forced into it. You picture his last clear thought, not fear, but precision. If the surface had slipped beyond reach, then at least others would understand what happened. At least he wouldn't add chaos to grief. It's harrowing because it feels intentional. Not a surrender, but a final act of discipline. And you can't help but ask yourself what you would do in those last seconds, when the math is no longer in your favor, and the ceiling might as well be the moon. Bowden survives the long ascent, battered by the invisible physics of decompression, but alive. The support team packs away the lines and tanks, the ghost infrastructure of a dream that cost too much. At a small service back home, friends and students remember a quiet man who solved problems with patience and made the wilderness safer for others. The grief is sharp because he was the careful one, the one who always came back, until he didn't. Zacatón still sits there today, the water warm and glassy, the floating islands drifting lazily across the surface. You could stand at the edge and never guess that more than 1,000 feet of darkness rests beneath your shoes. That's the haunting part. It doesn't roar or threaten. It waits, silent, patient, indifferent. And somewhere down in that pressure-black cathedral, the line between mastery and mortality is still as thin as a strand of nylon. You feel it. Because in places like this, control is everything, right up until it isn't.